This message will offend the undisciplined, but it will awaken the man who is ready to rise. If you stay with me, you will learn how to reclaim control over your mind, your results, and your reputation through silence, action, and command. I will show you how every careless word weakens you and how to become a man who moves with force, not noise. Stay, listen, obey. Because when this is finished, you will no longer need to explain yourself. Your life will speak for you. Say less, do more, or remain as you are. That is your first command. Not a suggestion, not a motivational phrase, a command. For if you refuse it, then you may turn away now and return to the ordinary life your words have built around you, flimsy, fragile, and forgettable. But if you obey, if you receive it like steel into your soul, then these next few minutes will be the dividing line between the man you were trained to be and the man you were born to become. You speak too much. That is your disease. You speak when you are unsure. You speak to feel better. You speak to impress. You speak to fill the silence. But silence is not your enemy. It is your inheritance. Power lives in silence. But noise, you must understand this. Noise is the music of the weak. Each time a man opens his mouth without purpose, he empties the very reservoir of strength he claims to be building. Most men don't lack motivation. They leak it, not through inaction, but through conversation. They talk their plans to death. They share their next move before they have even planted their first step. And in doing so, they strip themselves of the pressure, the intensity, the inner command that builds greatness. Power is accumulated in silence. It is wasted in noise. This is not philosophy. This is a law of nature. Observe it in the world of men. The truly great, those whose names history cannot forget, spoke rarely, and when they did, their words carried the weight of mountains. Their power was not in volume, but in presence. But what of you? You have allowed your voice to replace your action. You have allowed your thoughts to be aired before they were sharpened. You seek to be understood more than you seek to be undeniable. You are the product of a culture that rewards appearance over action, expression over execution, emotion over excellence. And if you do not break this habit of overexposure, it will destroy you quietly. You speak your goals aloud to anyone who will listen. You broadcast your vision before you've built the first stone. You give opinions freely, yet your actions remain in debt. The more you speak, the more your subconscious mind is convinced you have already done the work, but you haven't. You're feeding the mind with false proof, and it obeys. The subconscious is loyal to repetition, not reality. Speak too much, and it believes the task is already accomplished. The urgency vanishes. The action dies. And your life once again remains average. Say less, do more, or remain as you are. This is not just about speech. It is about identity. A man who moves without explanation radiates a force that no words can match. The disciplined man says little, but his silence commands attention. His very posture, his calm, his restraint announce who he is more loudly than any sentence could ever express. I remind you of John D. Rockefeller, one of the most powerful men to ever walk the earth. He spoke so little in meetings that others grew nervous. They spoke to fill the air. They speculated, opined, reasoned out loud. Rockefeller listened, waited, held his words like coins of the highest value. And when he finally spoke, he did not waste a syllable. One sentence from his mouth outweighed 100 spoken by his subordinates, not because he was louder, but because his silence had already built his presence. His power was not just in oil, it was in silence, thought, and deliberation. He understood the truth. Talk less, hold more power. Do not misunderstand me. Words are not evil. Words are tools. Words, when aimed, when backed by thought, when fired with precision, can move men to war or to peace, to faith or to destruction. But words without thought, words spoken from the hunger for validation, attention, or emotional escape, those words will rot your power from the inside out. You are weakened not by what the world says to you, but by what you say to it without cause. What does the disciplined man do instead? He builds, he acts, he lives behind the curtain, he moves in silence. And when the results arrive, then he speaks, if he chooses. And when he does not explain, he does not convince, he does not perform, he simply confirms with calm that what he said he would do has been done. Most men think their way into circles and talk their way into weakness. They mistake verbal noise for inner progress. But thinking is not the same as deciding, and speaking is not the same as doing. You must separate them. You must value your own energy enough to protect it from the erosion of casual conversation. You must become the kind of man who holds his speech in the vault of self-respect. You must become the man whose words are so rare they are remembered. The man whose voice carries consequence. The man who no longer has to explain himself because his work has already done the talking. But that man does not appear by accident. He is built by restraint. He is carved by discipline. He is born through silence. And silence, for most of you, is uncomfortable. But that discomfort is your invitation. It is the sound of transformation beginning. If your presence does not speak before your mouth does, you are not yet a man of power. From now on, speak only when it builds, speak only when it sharpens, speak only when your inner fire has already moved you into action. Let your words be shaped by results, not promises. Let your sentences be few, but final. Do not talk your way into confidence. Act your way into it. When a man learns to say less, he begins to see more. He notices what others miss. He picks up on rhythm, motive, pressure. While others are revealing themselves through endless opinion, he is calculating, building, refining. He becomes a strategist in a world of spectators. There is a silence that builds clarity, a silence that breeds precision, a silence that stores energy like a great dam. When it is time to speak, it will pour with force. But until then, be still. Be calculated, be sovereign. If you accept this truth, this law, then prepare for separation. Because most men will not follow you here. Most men are addicted to being heard. They are addicted to expression. They are terrified of invisibility. They do not want to be powerful. They want to be seen. And that desire will destroy them. Let them talk. Let them share. Let them explain. You will build. You will rise. You will act. And when the results speak, they will sound exactly like you. This message will offend the man who seeks comfort, but it will resurrect the man who seeks power. That is my aim. Not to make you feel good, but to make you dangerous. Dangerous in thought, dangerous in action, dangerous in silence. And so I tell you one last time, say less, do more, or remain as you are. The strongest man is not the loudest. He is not the fastest to answer. He is the one who withholds. He is the one who hears everything but speaks little. He is the one who watches, waits, measures, and moves when the moment is his. He is rare because he has mastered something most men cannot even begin to approach, inner restraint. I do not speak here of physical strength or intellectual speed. I speak of mental discipline so refined, so sharply forged, that the tongue no longer leads the man. Rather, the man controls the tongue. His voice is not a habit, it is a weapon. And like all weapons of great consequence, it is wielded with caution, not compulsion. You must understand a law higher than motivation, deeper than productivity, more powerful than inspiration. I call it the law of controlled attention. This law states, power belongs to the man who can restrain his focus, withhold his speech, and act without explanation. Most men speak to fill the air. They speak because they are uncomfortable with stillness. They speak because their own thoughts are not strong enough to hold them in place. And in doing so, they release their command. They reveal their weakness. They weaken their mind's ability to focus. They become the servant of impulse, and the tongue becomes their master. But this is reversed in the disciplined man. in the trained man, in the man of definite purpose. The tongue is the servant of the will. That is the true order. That is the ancient structure. When the will is sovereign, the voice is useful. But when the voice leads, the man is lost. Every word you speak writes instruction upon the pages of your subconscious mind. The subconscious does not filter. It does not fact-check. It does not distinguish between truth and sarcasm, intent and impulse. It hears your voice, and it obeys, quietly, faithfully, repeatedly. When you say, "I can't," your subconscious believes it. When you say, "I'll try," it prepares to fail. When you say, "I'm tired," your body will match the command. These are not harmless phrases. They are internal decrees. You are giving voice to weakness, and weakness will answer. Controlled attention begins with controlled speech, not just affirmations, not just positive words, but the complete elimination of aimless speech. You cannot pour wine into a cup that is already full of mud. You cannot install strength where weakness is constantly being rehearsed. Restraint is not repression. It is redirection. When you feel the urge to speak, ask why. What purpose does this sentence serve? Will it build or scatter? Will it declare or dilute? Will it harden your identity or erode it? Let me give you an image. A forge, a place of fire and steel. Your mind is that forge. Your thoughts are the flame. Your words are the hammer. If the flame is scattered, it will not shape the steel. If the hammer strikes without control, it will crack what it should shape. Now, picture Abraham Lincoln. The man did not speak quickly. He did not indulge in idle chatter. He would sit in total silence while others grew restless. He did not speak until his words had passed through the fire of reflection. His mind moved like a glacier, slow, deliberate, unstoppable. And when he finally spoke, even his enemies leaned in, not because of charisma, but because they knew he only speaks when it matters. This is mastery, and it can be yours, but it begins with stillness. You must allow space between thought and tongue. The average man reacts in seconds. The disciplined man delays, and in the delay, his decision sharpens. He becomes not just a speaker, but a sculptor of speech. You are not here to sound good. You are here to become great. And greatness does not speak for applause. It speaks with finality. Let me speak plainly. Every time you speak from emotion, every time you speak without aim, every time you give commentary instead of command, your voice becomes a leak of energy, a leak of vision, a leak of mental concentration. The undisciplined man weakens his will with every casual sentence. He thinks aloud instead of in silence. He responds before he understands. He voices uncertainty and then wonders why he doubts himself. He speaks from mood and calls it honesty. But it is not honesty. It is exposure. The disciplined man says only what strengthens. His words are rare, but they carry weight because they are born from attention and tempered by inner control. This is not about personality. It is about presence. It is about the weight your voice carries in the room. That weight is not in tone. It is not in volume. It is in restraint. When you walk into a room and you speak little, but everything you say is deliberate, people begin to notice. They lean in. They wonder what you think. Why? Because you have not given it all away. You have not spoken your power into the wind. Let me give you a warning. There will be moments when you feel the urge to respond. You will want to react, to correct, to defend, to prove. And in those moments, if you obey the urge, you will remain as you are. But if you withhold, you grow. If you observe, you expand. If you think, you build internal volume. Silence is not absence, it is accumulation. Each time you hold back a comment, you store power. Each time you redirect a reaction into reflection, you build identity. And now you will install this into habit. Every morning, you will begin your day with the following declaration. I speak only what builds. I say only what strengthens. My voice is law, and I speak it rarely. Say this aloud, with weight, with pause between each sentence. Say it until it burns. Say it until your tongue begins to hesitate before speaking. That is the sign your subconscious has received the new instruction. You will train yourself in silence, not for silence's sake, but for command, for clarity, for inner sharpness. You are becoming the kind of man whose word is law, not because of ego, but because it is rarely given and always kept. You must understand what most will never grasp. Your voice is your sword. Every unnecessary word is a dull swing. Every emotional outburst is a broken blade. But the man who trains his speech trains his spirit. If you want the world to obey, you must first command yourself. If you want your words to move others, they must first move you. If you want your voice to carry presence, it must be born from thought, not noise. Say it again. I speak only what builds. I say only what strengthens. My voice is law, and I speak it rarely. And remember this forever. The man who controls his tongue controls his fate. There is a truth most men never grasp. Every time you speak, you are not merely using language, you are building identity. Your words are not tools of expression. They are tools of construction. You are either building a throne or digging a grave with your tongue. And the structure you live within, your self-image, your habits, your direction, is the house that your past words have built. You speak what you believe. But more dangerously, you believe what you speak. The man who repeats smallness eventually believes it is honesty. The man who explains himself too often soon begins to feel he needs permission to act. The man who vents his emotions without restraint programs his mind to obey emotion instead of will. Every man is building a mirror of himself through what he says when no one is listening. You may think words are light, that they pass into air and vanish. They do not. They land, they lodge, they carve new grooves into your inner mechanism. The subconscious listens to every phrase, every whisper, every repetition, and in its loyalty, it takes those words and turns them into command. This is the true science of autosuggestion, not a mechanical ritual, not vain affirmation, but deliberate, consistent, disciplined speech, spoken aloud, repeated daily, formed with precision and obeyed with action. It is not enough to say, I am strong, if the rest of your day is filled with, I don't know, I'll try, I'm not sure. These contradictions cancel the suggestion. They are proof you do not yet respect the law. Speech must not only be positive, it must be aligned, and alignment demands discipline. Do not waste this law by using it casually. Use it as Carnegie used it, as Ford, Edison, and Rockefeller used it. Speak only what you are becoming. Speak only what your mind must obey. Speak only what will harden the steel of your identity. Let me remind you of a man who mastered this, Andrew Carnegie. Before he held a title, before he had industry, before the world even knew his name, he had already spoken it into dominion. He declared aloud his plan to rise. Not to impress, not to please, not to explain, but to instruct the only person who had to believe it, himself. Carnegie did not waste speech on explanations. He used it as declaration, and he repeated it until his mind could no longer distinguish between the future and the present. His belief was built on repetition. His identity was forged by disciplined declaration, and the world, in time, bowed to the man he had already become in silence. This is your assignment. Speak only what you are building. Stop revealing your thoughts to people who cannot carry them. Stop explaining plans that are not yet finished. Stop seeking approval for a future that is still in the furnace. When you speak your aim, speak it with force. But when you move, move in silence. You must become the man who says, I will do it, once, and then does it, relentlessly, without the need for praise or feedback. That is strength. I will give you 3 identity-building declarations. These are not motivational phrases. They are blueprints. Use them daily. Say them aloud with authority. I am a man of movement. I act before I speak. I build more than I say. Say them slowly, with upright posture, with breath from the diaphragm. Let them enter not just your ears, but your marrow. These are instructions to your inner world, and your subconscious, being obedient, will rewire your perception to match your voice. Let me be clear. Most men are addicted to expression. They explain their plans before they act. They describe their dreams before they pursue. They share to feel good, when they should be building to become great. But the man who speaks prematurely kills momentum. He robs himself of the tension that creates pressure, and pressure creates power. You are not here to speak to be heard. You are here to speak to obey. Your words are commands to the self. They are not entertainment. They are not filler. They are instruments of formation. And if you understand that, then you will never again speak without thinking, without aim, without conviction. Now I challenge you. For the next 7 days, I command you to create a verbal restraint code. On one page, write down every phrase you will not speak, every weak pattern of language, every complaint, excuse, emotional leak, or self-diminishing statement. And you will obey that code as strictly as a soldier obeys orders. Examples of phrases to eliminate: I can't, I'll try, maybe, I hope so, I'm not sure, it's hard, let me explain. None of these belong in your vocabulary. They belong to the man who remains uncertain, undefined, and unfocused. You are not that man anymore. You are forging a new voice, a new frame, a new frequency of command. Once your code is written, replace each weak phrase with a strong one, a new declaration, so that when the old habit arises, you will have a sharpened alternative ready at the edge of your tongue. I can't becomes I am finding a way. I'll try becomes I do or I do not. Maybe becomes this is my direction. This is how you take control of your speech, not by silence alone, but by construction. You must replace, reframe, reprogram. Let your voice become your weapon. Let it declare who you are and nothing less. Let it reflect the clarity of your purpose, the sharpness of your thinking, and the strength of your will. Each time you speak, ask, does this build the man I am becoming? Would I write this on the wall of my future home? Would I allow my son to repeat these words as a map for his life? If the answer is no, then do not say it. Your mouth is not a playground. It is a command center. Treat it as such. And do not seek applause. Speak your identity even when no one hears, because you are not building it for them. You are building it for you. Say it in your room. Say it on your walk. Say it into your notebook. Say it until the voice you hear within speaks back in agreement. Now say it aloud once more. I am a man of movement. I act before I speak. I build more than I say. And remember, every careless word is a vote for the man you used to be. Every disciplined word is a brick in the foundation of the man you are becoming. Build with your voice, or let your voice betray you. The choice is now yours. Opinions are the cheapest commodity on earth. Everyone has them. Everyone shares them. And nearly all are worthless. Yet most men are ruled by the need to express them, to be heard, to weigh in, to offer a perspective they have not earned. And in doing so, they surrender the very power they seek to display. Every time a man opens his mouth to give an opinion he has not tested in silence, examined through fact, and measured by action, he leaks power. And most do not even realize it. They speak quickly, and in their haste, they reveal the weakness of their process. They speak first and think later. And in doing so, they prove themselves unreliable even to their own subconscious. I have taught for many years that accurate thinking is the foundation of power. And the first law of accurate thought is this: do not speak until your facts are in order. Do not form an opinion without evidence. Do not deliver conclusions before you have mastered the details. If you have not studied, remained silent, observed, and tested, your opinion is not just unhelpful, it is dangerous. It weakens your speech. It cheapens your influence. It signals to others that your words are not the result of clarity, but the result of compulsion. An opinion is often nothing more than emotional leakage, a way for the undisciplined man to relieve himself of the pressure of not knowing. Rather than admit ignorance, he offers a phrase. Rather than seek understanding, he declares position. But the man of power withholds. He listens longer. He speaks less. And when he does speak, his words move men because they were earned in silence. There is nothing strong about having something to say on every topic. That is not wisdom. That is vanity. And the subconscious mind, observing the habit, begins to treat your own voice as noise. And when your own mind no longer respects your words, how can you expect others to? Truth is silent. It arrives not with clamor, but with calm. It does not argue. It confirms. It does not shout. It shapes. The man who speaks often is often the man who acts last. The man who cannot observe without commentary is not yet trained, but the man who listens, stores, calculates, and then moves, that man is dangerous. He does not draw his sword to show it, he draws it to strike. You must become this man, a man whose voice does not wander, a man whose words do not guess, a man whose observations are so deeply seated in clarity that when he speaks, the room must reconsider itself. Let me offer you an example. Henry Ford was mocked by many in his time. They mistook his silence for simplicity. They believed his unwillingness to speak was the mark of a small mind. But they were wrong. Ford simply refused to waste breath. He refused to argue with those who had not built what he had built. He spoke rarely and acted consistently. He offered no commentary on what could not be changed, and his focus became legendary. Ford knew what most men forget. The man who speaks too much spreads his energy too thin. But the man who keeps his counsel, who watches, who filters, he becomes a fortress. He becomes unreadable, and unreadable men hold power. Let others offer their thoughts. You will offer your presence. Let others explain their perspective. You will build a structure so strong it does not require explanation. Let others debate. You will execute. There is no strength in reacting to every conversation. Every response you give steals seconds, clarity, attention. That time could be used to build, to refine, to sharpen. But you trade it for the pleasure of being heard. Let that addiction die now. You are not here to be heard. You are here to be undeniable. From this day forward, you will treat your words like gold. You will not offer them without demand. You will not share unproven ideas. You will not give reaction instead of result. You will observe, and from observation, you will build insight. And from insight, you will act. And from action, you will let your work speak. You must retrain the impulse to respond, and you must replace it with the habit of internal clarity. Each time you wish to speak, ask, have I earned the right to say this? Is this built on experience or emotion? Will this strengthen or distract my direction? If the answer is unclear, remain silent. That silence will do more for you than 10,000 aimless words ever could. Speak only when your thoughts are refined by silence, tested by action, and sharpened by result. This will separate you, because the average man is addicted to commentary. The average man treats speech like exhale, automatic, uncontrolled, unfiltered. But you will become intentional, measured, exact. You will not speak because it feels good. You will speak because it is necessary. Now say this aloud. I withhold until I know. I do not speak to be heard. I speak to be obeyed. Let those words guide you. Say them before conversations. Say them before meetings. Say them when you are tempted to prove your worth through noise. You will not do it. You will prove your worth through presence, clarity, and controlled action. Make this your code. I do not offer opinions I have not tested. I do not answer unless I have observed first. I do not react. I respond with structure. I do not comment where I have not contributed. I do not explain what is not finished. Let others spill their words. You will store yours. And when you do speak, your words will arrive not as wind, but as iron. Let your thoughts grow strong in silence. Let your ideas be refined by fire before they touch the air. Let your speech be so rare that when it arrives, It reshapes the atmosphere. And when the time comes to speak, you will not need approval. You will not need reaction. You will not need applause, because you will speak only when it is law. A revealed goal is a weakened goal. Let no man deceive you on this point. The moment you speak of your aim prematurely, you surrender part of its strength. You divide your energy between doing and describing, and most men never recover that division. They speak of their plans before they build, and in doing so, they let attention replace progress. Approval replaces pressure. Praise replaces fire. You must understand, secrecy is sacred. It is the furnace in which power is forged. The man who builds in silence becomes unstoppable, not because no one sees him, but because he no longer needs to be seen. His focus is not on being witnessed, it is on becoming undeniable. You are not here to impress. You are not here to entertain with promises. You are not here to describe your dream like a poet. You are here to build it like a general. Speech reveals. Action conceals until it is complete. And the disciplined man builds in darkness until the day his results appear like the rising of the sun, needing no explanation. There is a time to speak, but it is never while the foundation is still being laid. You do not open the gates while the walls are half built. You do not announce the harvest while the seeds are still in your hand. The work must be finished before it is discussed. And even then, speak only if you must. Let your results write your biography. This is the creed of the silent builder, the man who needs no audience to begin, no applause to continue, and no permission to complete. He does not ask, "What do they think?" He asks, "What must I do next?" His motive is purpose, his power is privacy, and his reward is not attention, it is achievement. Let me offer you an image. A man stands alone in a workshop. The doors are shut, the tools are in motion. He is not taking photos of his progress. He is not announcing it daily to strangers. He is crafting, forging, working in the unseen. And when his creation is ready, it will not ask for applause. It will demand recognition. This was the way of Thomas Edison. While others gave speeches about what might be, Edison lit the world. He did not speculate. He demonstrated. He did not promise. He produced. His workshop was sacred ground, not because of the machines, but because it was guarded from exposure. The noise stayed outside. The work stayed within, and that work changed the world. You must model this. Do not discuss your next move. Make it. Do not reveal the plan. Walk it. Do not ask for encouragement. Become the kind of man who is unstoppable with or without it. Let your fruits reveal your roots. Let your finished work show what you studied. Let your actions speak languages no opinion can match. The man who tells all reveals weakness. The man who shows little stores strength. There is something inside you now, an idea, a project, a mission that should not be spoken. It is not ready. And every time you describe it, you weaken it. Every word divides the energy. You speak instead of move. And your mind, hearing the words, thinks you've already done the work. The subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between completion and constant verbal rehearsal. And if you continue to talk about what you are building, your inner fire will die from overexposure. So I give you a drill. Simple, powerful, transformational. Choose one goal right now, a personal goal, a financial target, a habit, a building, a vision. Write it down and vow not to speak of it again until it is completed. Not halfway done, completed, finished, delivered, real. This vow is not just to protect your goal, it is to reclaim your own authority, to teach your mind that your actions will speak from now on, and your voice is no longer for casual release. You may feel the itch to share. That itch is your addiction to validation. Deny it, silence it, starve it. Every time you remain quiet, you grow, you concentrate, you sharpen. Every moment you resist the urge to speak, you transfer energy from your tongue into your will. This is how the builder rises. He does not hold meetings about the tower. He lays brick after brick. He sharpens his tools. He studies the plans. He walks the floor at night. He corrects errors by candlelight. And only when the tower touches the sky, only then does the world see what was once hidden. Let this become your model. And your mouth, your most precious tool, must be treated like a vault. Not every thought escapes, not every vision is shared, not every plan is posted. Some things are too sacred to be spoken. And when people ask what you're working on, say, "You'll know when it's done." That sentence holds power, finality, sovereignty. You are no longer available for verbal exposure. You are under construction. Say this aloud, calm, clear, and absolute. I am building something the world cannot yet see, and I do not need their approval to continue. Say it again. I am building something the world cannot yet see, and I do not need their approval to continue. This is your creed now, not just for this week, not just for this goal, but for the next season of your life. The silent season, the building season, the underground season, because what you are crafting cannot be born in noise. It must be formed in silence. Then, when it rises, it will not need an introduction. It will not need validation. It will speak for you, and you, having said less, will have done more. The undisciplined man vents. The disciplined man channels. This is the dividing line between the average and the great, between the loud and the lasting, between the man who is ruled by his feelings and the man who commands his world. Emotion is not weakness. Emotion is energy. But when released through speech before it is harnessed by thought, it becomes chaos. The man who speaks from emotion confesses not strength, but instability. And the world hearing him cannot trust him. Worse still, his own subconscious cannot trust him. You are not what you feel. You are what you do with what you feel. And when anger rises, when frustration tightens the chest, when doubt circles the mind, your first task is not to speak, it is to close your mouth. This is your first command under fire. When emotions rise, close your mouth. Say nothing. Breathe once. Breathe twice. Sit with it. Study it. Delay. Let the wave pass. Let thought return. Let silence correct what speech would have worsened. Most men lose power not in major decisions, but in the heat of moments. They say too much. They defend, they react, they explain, and in doing so, they lose composure. They give up presence. They appear smaller than they are, not because they are weak, but because they have no restraint. Restraint under emotion is royalty. It is the mark of the master. It is the badge of inner governance. When you speak from emotion, the subconscious mind begins to see your words as erratic. It stops obeying. It stops respecting, because it senses you are not in control. You are not issuing orders. You are venting reactions, and over time it tunes you out. But when you delay, when you sit in silence while the storm rages within, when you choose not to react but to study, then your subconscious learns something powerful. You are in command. Abraham Lincoln understood this. He had no lack of passion, but his passion was shaped by discipline. History records that Lincoln, in moments of deep frustration or offense, would write letters he never sent. He poured out the emotion onto the page, then folded it, put it away, and waited, sometimes for a day, sometimes for longer. In that delay, wisdom returned. Judgment rose above emotion. And when he did speak, his words were final, refined, precise, not because he had none of the feelings, but because he refused to let feelings dictate his action. This is the way of the builder, the commander, the thinker, the man of weight. You must adopt this method immediately. Let your new drill be this. Each time you feel emotional pressure, write instead of speak, observe instead of react, move instead of explain. Let the page absorb what your voice should not release. You are not here to rehearse weakness aloud. You are here to convert it into action. You may say, but I need to express myself. Number, what you need is to train yourself. The man who must always express is a man who has no furnace, no inner chamber where things are refined. You must become the man who sits with the flame and turns it into fuel, not fallout. Not everything you feel deserves your voice. Not every agitation needs commentary. Not every disagreement must be vocalized. You are allowed to be still. You are allowed to say nothing. In fact, your greatest power will be found in the moments you say the least. Silence under pressure is not suppression. It is transformation. It is the mark of a man who is no longer a servant to his reactions. It is the birth of command. Train yourself. Speak only once the feeling has passed through the furnace of thought. Speak only when you are certain your words are aligned with vision, not just emotion. When you do this, your presence will begin to shift. Others will notice. They may not be able to explain it, but they will feel it. Your silence will speak louder than most men's explanations. Your restraint will signal control, and control is power. Now let this become your new internal instruction. I do not speak from emotion. I speak from vision. My voice is sharpened by silence. Say it aloud now. I do not speak from emotion. I speak from vision. My voice is sharpened by silence. Let this sentence become your internal compass in every high-pressure moment. Repeat it when anger rises, when fear creeps in, when the desire to be heard burns in your throat. Say it to yourself until your nervous system slows, your breathing deepens, and your thoughts return. Because that return is where your edge lies. The undisciplined man speaks quickly and must repair later. The disciplined man speaks once and never has to apologize. Emotional discipline is not about being cold. It is about being precise, about making decisions from vision, not reaction, about protecting your power when it is most under threat. You are no longer here to explain your frustration. You are here to redirect it, to convert it, to turn pressure into production, to walk in the opposite spirit of your feelings, and thereby prove that you are the master of yourself. This is what separates commanders from the crowd. Now write this phrase down, keep it with you. Delay is my strength. Silence is my edge. Thought is my answer. Practice it, embody it, and when the world presses in, you will not respond with panic. You will respond with presence. And your presence will say everything your words no longer need to. Power does not begin with motion. It begins with stillness. It begins in the hidden chambers of the mind, where noise has been evicted and thought is allowed to form like iron under fire. The greatest strength a man can cultivate is not his voice, but his ability to remain silent long enough to become concentrated. You have been told that silence is emptiness, that quiet means lack, but they are wrong. The man who is silent is not empty. He is becoming dense with direction. He is thickening with purpose. He is drawing his will into one point, one force, one decision. The undisciplined man speaks to feel strong, but the disciplined man becomes stronger by refusing to speak. Mental power is not born in talk. It is born in stillness. Your mind, left undisturbed, unprodded, unforced, will begin to speak to you in new tones. Not the voice of doubt or fear or compulsion, but the voice of strategy, of vision, of clarity. But that voice will not scream over your daily noise. It waits, always, for silence. Silence is not absence. It is preparation. It is the anvil upon which the sword of purpose is forged. Every minute of intentional stillness builds an inch of internal steel. But when you speak, scroll, listen, reply, react, you scatter the heat, the forge cools, the blade weakens, you return to drift. But if you would make yourself a weapon, silence is your sharpening stone. Let me speak to you of a moment that changed the course of my own life. During long hours of stillness, after much mental strain and emotional silence, I encountered what I described as my other self. This was not fantasy. This was not imagination. It was a voice I had never heard before, but it came from within. It spoke with clarity. It gave instruction. It cut away confusion with a precision I could never find in noise. This voice does not arrive when you demand it. It comes when you have become still enough to receive it, when your words have been restrained, when your emotions have been quieted, when your need for performance has died. Then, and only then, it speaks. Andrew Carnegie lived by this same law. It was not his fortune that made him powerful. It was his ability to retreat from noise. He spent hours alone with his thoughts. He reviewed his aims in silence. He had the discipline to turn inward and listen to the other self that gives birth to direction. You have this same ability. You have a mind that waits to build, but it requires silence. It requires a total departure from the language of the world, no speaking, no explaining, no noise, just the furnace of thought burning clean. Now I give you your next drill, and every day from this moment forward, you will set aside 30 minutes for complete silence. No speech, no conversation, no input, no output, only silence. In this time you will think, you will write, you will decide, you will ask, where am I going? What must I build? What must I remove? What is essential and what is distraction? You will not rise from this session until a single clear idea has been captured on paper. One decision, one correction, one new action. This is how a man builds mental muscle. And at the end of these 30 minutes, you will speak one sentence aloud, no more, your definite chief aim. You will rise in silence, you will stand tall, and you will say aloud, I demand riches of life, of purpose, of power, and I have a definite plan for acquiring them. This is your verbal seal, your single line of command to the subconscious mind. One sentence to anchor all the clarity you've built in stillness. You will find that after a few days of this practice, your energy begins to change. You will feel stronger, but not louder. You will begin to see through distractions. You will stop reacting. You will begin choosing. The man who trains in silence becomes a master of his own time. He no longer needs to be told what matters. He no longer checks for direction. He gives it. And the world, seeing his calm, will misread it as luck. They will say he is quiet, but they will not know the depth of order, the force of certainty, the edge of clarity that has been forged in the quiet hour. They do not need to know. Your life will say it for you. Now speak this affirmation aloud, 10 times, with strength in your breath. I command through silence. I build through stillness. I rise without noise. Again. I command through silence. I build through stillness. I rise without noise. Let these words become your new rhythm. The world will try to pull you into constant motion, constant reaction, constant sound. Refuse it. Return to stillness. That is your advantage. If you speak less, you will observe more. If you observe more, you will know more. And if you know more, you will need to speak even less. This is the loop of mastery. It begins in silence. Build yourself in quiet. Forge your next level in solitude. And when the time comes to speak, you will do so with such authority that no man will question it, because by then you will not be repeating someone else's opinion. You will be issuing command from a mind that has been fortified in the one place most men never go, silence. You are no longer the man who needs to speak to feel strong. You are no longer the man who seeks validation through expression. You are no longer the man who uses language as a shield, as a distraction, as a habit. That man is gone. In his place now stands a man who knows, what I say is law, and therefore I do not speak without purpose. Say less. Do more. This is not a slogan. This is your structure. This is your new atmosphere. This is your daily armor. You have walked through every part of this message, and if you have followed it, not just heard it, but obeyed it, then you are no longer controlled by reaction. You are led by vision. You are no longer ruled by emotion. You are governed by decision. You are no longer pulled by the opinions of others. You are anchored by the discipline of self-command. Let us remember what has been installed in you. You speak fewer words, because you now know that every word is a seed, and seeds must be planted with intention. You speak less opinion because opinion is the currency of the undisciplined, and you trade only in truth tested by silence. You allow no emotional leakage because you have trained yourself to observe instead of react, to write instead of explode, to channel instead of spill. You speak your daily affirmations aloud, 10 times with force, with clarity, with posture, because you understand now that the subconscious obeys repetition, not hope. You begin each day with morning silence, not by chance, but by design. 30 minutes of stillness, of writing, of mental sharpening. And from that silence, you emerge with the voice of decision, not of drift. You speak only power, no disclaimers, no softness, no justification. When you speak, it is because you have decided, not because you are uncertain. And most of all, you have learned to build what is not spoken. You understand now that revelation is for the weak, but secrecy is for the strong. You have trained your will not to seek applause, but to produce outcomes. You're not here to perform. You're here to become unshakable. You are now the kind of man who acts with purpose. You no longer explain what you will do. You do it. You do not promise. You present. You do not ask for permission. You impose direction by the weight of your movement. You enforce your own will, not once, not when convenient, but daily. Your own word is law to yourself. You obey your own structure before you ever expect the world to follow your command. You speak now only to shape the world around you. You do not speak to be heard. You speak to build, to correct, to instruct, to finalize. And if what you are about to say does not do one of those four, it is not said. This is identity. This is spiritual steel. This is what it means to walk in purpose. Now I give you your final challenge. This is not a test. It is an instruction for the new man. If you follow this, you will separate from 99 out of 100 men within weeks. Not because of effort alone, but because of focus, silence, and repetition. 1. Speak only when it builds. If your words do not construct thought, reinforce direction, affirm strength, or issue instruction, do not speak them. Ask before each sentence, does this build my world or drain it? If it drains, remain silent. 2. Repeat your affirmations daily. This is not optional. 10 times. Morning and night. Speak them with presence, with weight, with posture, not for comfort, but for command. Examples: I am a man of movement. I act before I speak. I build more than I say. I do not speak from emotion. I speak from vision. I command through silence. I build through stillness. I rise without noise. You may create your own, but once created, you do not change them. You repeat them until they are flesh. 3. Watch this message again every morning for 7 days. Not as motivation, but as reinforcement. This message is not content. It is structure. It is identity. The man you are building must hear these words until they replace the old code. Until you no longer need reminders, because you have become the message. 4. Become known for movement, not words. Let people wonder what you are building. Let them ask. Do not explain. Let them talk. Do not correct. Let them drift. Do not follow. You are now defined not by what you say, but by what you enforce, what you repeat, what you complete. You are now unshakable. You have buried the man who spoke too soon, who leaked strength through unnecessary expression, who asked for validation in conversation. You are now the man who speaks when it is time to command, who speaks to affirm, who speaks to shape, and nothing else. You are the silent builder, the calm storm, the fixed mind, the clear aim, the sharp tongue, rarely used but deeply felt. You have become rare, and in this world, rarity is value. Now say it aloud. I am a man of power. I say less. I do more. I command my world with action. Again. I am a man of power. I say less. I do more. I command my world with action. Let this be your final imprint. because you are no longer building a better personality. You are building a better identity. And this identity does not speak unless it shapes. It does not move unless it is directed. It does not entertain emotion, it issues orders. You are no longer ruled by the noise around you. You are now ruled by the vision within you. Say less, do more, be unshakable.